구원해준 나의 천사 나의 세상 난 이상 새 고향이 널 만나러
When Wayan first arrived in Seoul, her heart carried dreams too wide for the narrow alleys of the city. She imagined herself building a new future, chasing ambitions under the neon lights. But the weight of reality pressed down with merciless hands. Job after job came her way, yet each one felt like a cage. She had tried working behind the counter of a bar, only to discover the role was not just serving drinks. Expectations went beyond dignity, and her spirit refused to bow. So she left those places behind, letting her hope flicker but not extinguish. Through a friend's quiet suggestion, she finally found herself here. A housekeeper, tucked away in a world she did not understand, yet one she could not refuse. The Mafia's room was unlike any other she had seen. His rules were silent, but they spoke through every detail. The wooden desk had to shine until it reflected the soft glow of the lamp. No corner could betray a single trace of dust. The bed demanded more than neatness. It had to look untouched, as though sleep itself bowed in reverence before him. Sheets pressed flat, pillows aligned, and a warmth folded carefully with the fabrics so it welcomed him the instant he returned. Even the air has its odors. She was to pray his favorite scent. Never too much, never too little. Just enough so the room carried his presence before he even stepped inside, as though the walls themselves were breathing his name. Books and files had to rest in measured order. Glasses placed on the side table faced forward, perfectly balanced, as though they had never been touched. Curtains had to fall in a straight line, neither crooked nor heavy with dust. But there was something else Ryan could not ignore. Each morning, as she quietly worked, the silence of the room was broken by the sound of water. Jimin would barge into the shower, and the steady stream poured like a private storm. She could hear it, the water striking tile, cascading across the floor, spilling warmth across cold stone. The lavender scent would rise, gentle yet intoxicating, filling the room until it wrapped itself around her like an invisible thread she dared not to follow. She knew his presence without seeing him. The sound of his hands moving over skin, the water softening under his touch, the fragrance clinging to the air. It was too close, too vivid, and still she kept her gaze down. When he emerged, it was always in a bathrobe, fabric clinging to his frame, droplets tracing lines down his neck. Ryan swore silently to herself never to look up, never to let her eyes betray what her heart already felt. One morning, however, was different. He was still asleep when she entered. The command to the room, keep the room flawless, still weighing on his shoulders. His light, steady breaths filled the space, a quiet rhythm against the stillness of dawn. She moved carefully, cleaning everything except the bed. Dust wiped from corners, curtains drawn straight, desk polished without a sound. She tiptoed through the silence, every gesture careful not to disturb the rise and fall of his breathing. Orders were orders. Whether he was awake, showering, or asleep, she had to continue. Yet in those fleeting moments, Wayne realized her tasks were not only about perfection, they were about surviving the nearness of someone whose world she could never fully touch. But one morning, Wayne did not realize her heart was about to fracture. She entered the room as she always did, her hands steady, mind focused. At the sight that greeted her stole the breath from her chest. A girl stepped out, eyes downcast, her lashes smudged as though the night had blurred them. Her makeup was streaked, her lipstick fading at the corners. A picture of something Wayne wished she had never witnessed within these walls. On the bed, Jimin sat reclined, phone in hand, his expression unreadable. The glow of the screen painted his face indifferent, distant, as though the world around him held no weight. Her heart broke without a sound. She swallowed the ache, pressing it down where no one could see. With a calm heart, she picked up the duster and began to clean, as though nothing had happened. The motions felt mechanical, her soul whispering that it should not matter. But it did. The image stayed burnt in her chest, and she could not understand why. He was her employer, nothing more. Still, the truth stung with cruel clarity. This was something she had never wanted to see. When Jimin finally rose and disappeared into the shower, steam and lavender filling the air, Ryan worked harder. She polished surfaces until they gleamed, aligned books until they are perfect, and dusted every shadow as though her worth depended on it. She reminded herself again and again. She was just the housekeeper, nothing more, nothing less, and so, with her heart silenced behind her ribs, she moved as though invisible, leaving behind a room flawless, though her spirit carried cracks no one saw. When Ryan entered the room that morning, the curtains were drawn tight and the lights sat heavy in silence. Shadows draped over the furniture, soft and still, as though the entire room was holding its breath. She moved carefully, her steps feather light across the carpet. With a gentle pull, she drew the curtains open, letting dawn spill across the floor in golden streams. The light revealed to him Jimin, resting soundly, his chest rising and falling in steady rhythm. She turned back, determined not to disturb his sleep, and began her work in silence, dusting corners, arranging books, polishing wood. Every moment was deliberate, cautious, as though the room itself begged her not to break his peace.